Chapter 12: Incentives and Human Nature. Imagine a classroom. A teacher announces that students will be rewarded for achieving the highest test scores. Almost immediately, behavior begins to change. Some students study harder. Some become more competitive. Some focus narrowly on what will appear on the exam. Others may even search for shortcuts. The environment has changed, and behavior changes with it. Now imagine a different classroom. Students are rewarded for helping one another learn. Collaboration increases. Information is shared. Different behaviors emerge. The students themselves may not have changed very much. The incentives have, and the incentives help shape what follows. This pattern appears throughout human life. People respond to rewards, penalties, opportunities, constraints, expectations. The environments they inhabit influence the choices they make. This observation is so obvious that it can seem trivial. Yet much of civilization depends upon understanding it. In earlier chapters, we explored human nature, social learning, belonging, trust, and institutions. Now we arrive at another important question. How do societies influence behavior at scale? How do millions of people coordinate actions without constant supervision? How do institutions guide behavior among people who possess different goals, values, and interests? The answer lies partly in incentives. The word incentive is often associated with economics. Money, bonuses, taxes, prices. Certainly these are incentives, but incentives are much broader than financial rewards. Praise is an incentive. Status is an incentive. Reputation is an incentive. Belonging is an incentive. Avoiding embarrassment is an incentive. Human beings respond not only to material rewards but also to social and psychological ones. This helps explain why behavior often differs from stated intentions. People frequently describe what they value, yet what they consistently do may reflect the incentives surrounding them. This does not necessarily mean people are dishonest. It means human behavior emerges from the interaction between values and environments. Good intentions matter, but systems matter too. One of the recurring lessons of civilization is that incentives often produce outcomes nobody explicitly intended. A policy designed to solve one problem may create another. A reward may encourage behavior that was never anticipated. A well-meaning system may generate unintended consequences. Human societies are complex. People adapt. And once incentives change, behavior frequently changes as well. This insight helps explain why institutions matter. Institutions do more than preserve memory. They shape environments. They establish expectations. They reward certain behaviors and discourage others. In this sense, institutions become architects of incentives. They help channel human behavior toward particular outcomes. Notice the shift in perspective. When people encounter a problem, they often focus on individual character. Why did that person act this way? Why did that group behave that way? Character matters, but incentives matter as well. Sometimes behavior changes not because people changed, but because the environment changed. The same individuals placed within different systems often produce different outcomes. This observation does not deny personal responsibility. Rather, it broadens our understanding. Human beings possess agency, yet agency operates within contexts. The environment influences what becomes attractive, costly, rewarded, punished, easy, or difficult. Civilization functions partly by shaping those contexts. History provides countless examples. Markets encourage certain forms of exchange. Legal systems encourage certain forms of behavior. Political systems encourage certain forms of participation. Educational systems encourage certain forms of learning. Every institution creates incentives, and incentives influence behavior, whether intended or not. This realization can feel slightly uncomfortable. Many people prefer explanations centered entirely on virtue or vice. Good people, bad people, wise leaders, foolish leaders. These explanations contain elements of truth, yet they often overlook something important. Even good people respond to incentives. Even flawed people respond to incentives. Human nature remains relatively stable. The environments surrounding human beings vary dramatically, and those environments often shape outcomes more than we realize. One of the most useful questions in the study of civilization becomes, what behavior is this system encouraging? Not merely, what behavior does this system intend to encourage? The distinction matters. Intentions and incentives do not always align. Civilizations frequently succeed or fail based upon the difference. This perspective encourages a different way of seeing social reality. When we observe recurring patterns of behavior, it can be helpful to look beyond individual choices and examine the surrounding structure. What rewards exist? What penalties exist? What expectations exist? What signals are people responding to? Often the answers reveal hidden forces shaping behavior beneath the surface. A pattern should now be becoming visible. Trust allows cooperation. Institutions preserve cooperation. Incentives guide cooperation. The mechanisms of civilization increasingly come into view. Human beings do not simply cooperate because they are told to. They cooperate within systems that make cooperation easier, more rewarding, more predictable, or more beneficial than the alternatives. Civilization depends upon these invisible structures, yet incentives alone cannot explain everything. People are not machines. Values matter. Identity matters. Meaning matters. Trust matters. Human beings are motivated by more than rewards and punishments. The challenge of civilization is integrating all of these realities, creating systems that align incentives with values. Institutions with trust. Individual motivations with collective flourishing. This may be one of the deepest lessons of social life. Human beings shape systems, then systems shape human beings. A feedback loop emerges. The environments we create influence the behaviors that become common. Those behaviors influence the future environments we inherit. Civilization evolves through this ongoing interaction. Closing orientation. Human beings respond to incentives, not because they are selfish, not because they are mechanical, but because behavior is shaped by context. Rewards matter, penalties matter, status matters, belonging matters, meaning matters. The environment surrounding people influence the choices they make. To understand civilization, we must learn to see those environments, because many of the forces shaping human behavior are not found within individuals alone. They are embedded in the systems people inhabit. Trust allows cooperation among strangers. Institutions preserve knowledge across generations. Incentives shape behavior within social systems. Together, these forces help explain how civilization functions. Yet another question remains. What makes civilization physically possible in the first place? What powers the roads, cities, hospitals, factories, supply chains, communication networks, and institutions upon which modern life depends? To answer that question, we must descend beneath the social world and examine a foundation so fundamental that it is often invisible: energy.